Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kwak here, one of the Kwak brothers. Now, as you may have noticed, a few of my last videos I've been talking about the effects of the Build Back Better Act, also known as BBBA, which I'm going to go and refer to as BBBA for now because I just cannot say Build Better Act. And of course, because our channel is all about finance, real estate, and making money, I've been really talking about the effects on your investments and taxes, especially what the BBBA is going to do moving forward. Now, one of the big changes since our last video is that not only is the BBBA cut down to $1.85 trillion, but the provision about private investments being banned is no longer on the bill. However, the proposal to add additional funding to the IRS pretty much still remains at this point. Now, with the research I did for this video and the current update that I received is that the IRS will receive $45 billion of additional funding. That is 4 times the current annual budget of the IRS, which is about $13 billion to run the entire department. Hey everybody, look! I'm the government.
I'm spending a lot of money.
Currently, the proposal outlines that the budget should go towards criminal investigation, provide cryptocurrency monitoring, wink wink, and of course funding any additional enforcement activities, aka audits. So if you have anything to do with cryptocurrency, meaning you invest or you mine or you trade cryptocurrency, you're definitely going to be a target for the IRS. So with that being said, I'm going to share who the IRS is especially going to target and how they're going to go about auditing several million individuals. I'm also going to talk about some of the pros and cons of this new changes and budget increase on the IRS. And I have a special treat for you guys. I'm going to bring my own accountant, my own tax preparer into this video to answer some questions about this new IRS audit wave that's coming in 2022. Oh, and real quick, if you guys are enjoying any part of this video, definitely smash the like button. It does help with our YouTube algorithm, and we want to make sure this video gets out to as many people as possible. So now that we got that out of the way, let's dive right into the video. Now, since 2010, the IRS has been losing 22% of its workforce and 20% of its funding across the board, which ultimately means that there's less staff and less funding to be able to carry out more audits done by the IRS, which also explains last year why many people had their stimulus checks delayed or they didn't receive any stimulus checks at all.
I need my stimulus check, yeah.
So since 2010, we've seen less audits being done by the IRS, though the US population of anyone that's 18 years or over has increased by 10%. So all that to say, the $44 billion of additional funding that the IRS is getting will obviously reverse many of the trends and will allow the IRS to hire more people, to create upgrade in their infrastructure system, and of course, ultimately carrying out more audits and enforcement activities. And at the same time, I will admit that some of these funding actually might do some good for the taxpayers. For example, this will allow more taxpayers to file their taxes free and quicker and faster using the IRS's portal system. And it will allow more individuals and taxpayers to access their records quickly in more simple ways, and also gives the IRS more funding to catch bad guys and criminals that evade taxes every year. But that's pretty much it as far as all the benefits that we get as taxpayers. Most of the funds will go towards audits and enforcing the existing tax codes as well as new tax codes that will get implemented by the BBBA. But what the Biden administration really wants is that this $44 billion investment into the IRS will translate to additional $400 billion of revenue for the federal government. Well, because let's face it, the federal government is just spending their money off the wazoo, so they kind of need it.
Have you ever done something really stupid with money?
Yes!
And of course, much of that $400 billion also plays into the fact that the IRS will need to hire more people and need resources to litigate taxpayers that are not paying. It's funny because they're taxing you to ultimately sue you using your own tax money. Well, remember, the whole point of this is that government just doesn't want money from you guys, right? I mean, they need to use it to help people, right?
I don't know.
Which, in order for them to fund many of these social and climate reforms, they are going to go and pass new laws, changing and raising a lot of the tax laws, which we discussed in some of my last videos. And in my last video, I talked about how over 90% of taxpayers, not just the rich, not just the ones that are making more than $400,000, will see a tax increase of average $1,000 to $10,000 for pretty much everybody across the board. So if you'd like to go see a more in-depth explanation as far as what tax changes are coming and how they're going to affect you, go and check out this video right here. I'm pointing. Yep, go click on that, and I'll give you a full rundown of how this BBBA, although they're saying that they're only going to tax the rich, how you might be the ones that are actually writing the checks to fund the BBBA. So with the overall increase of taxes against 90% of the taxpayers out there, I imagine many of the taxpayers are gonna look for ways to legally and tactfully pay less taxes using strategies and tactics that, of course, are legal and moral in many ways. So with that fact, we're gonna see a lot of tax attorneys and accountants trying out new deductions, new tax strategies that ultimately save you, the taxpayers, money, but with it comes the IRS challenging those new tax strategies and implementation through a form of an audit. Now, more than just the changes with the tax laws and rules, what's really critical is what happens during these audits, as a lot of times when such challenges go into tax courts, really the court decides whether the new changes are cemented or the new tax changes doesn't really carry much power with the ruling of the judge in a tax court. Ultimately, tax court judges can interpret and rule in favor or against the new tax changes that the BBBA may suggest, which also sets the precedent as to how the new tax law changes will, of course, be interpreted by other tax judges and how the tax rule is implemented across the board. For example, back in 2017, when Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was implemented, there were a lot of changes to the laws when it comes to how taxes are implemented. Now, for a more specific example, in the case of Martin versus Commissioner of the IRS, it definitely changed the status and the interpretation as to how the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act change the status of real estate professional. So again, it has a lot to do with how the tax law changes are interpreted through the eyes of the courts. So guys, the goal of the big government doing all of this is ultimately to raise $1.85 trillion in the next 10 years to fund the social and climate change reforms.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
So let's get to the juicy part, guys, and talk about how this is going to affect you, the taxpayer watching this, and who is the target for the IRS to come after. Now, what I'm gonna share with you guys is just my opinion and my own perspective on who the IRS is going after. Now, special treat, don't miss out, stay to the end, because my own accountant, will come up here and share his own perspective on who the IRS is going after and how you can protect yourself from this 2022 IRS audit wave. All right, numero uno. I believe that the IRS would go after anyone and pretty much anybody that has touched cryptocurrency. So if you mine cryptocurrency, if you trade or buy, sell, anything to do with cryptocurrency and you report it on the IRS, which legally you have to, then you are subject to being audited. Mainly because the idea of cryptocurrency is new and a lot of different implementation of tax code hasn't been tried on cryptocurrency. So what the IRS suspects is that there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna do something fishy and shady and do some weird deductions to pay less taxes, which the IRS will try to challenge many of these and really cement what is possible and what's not possible when it comes to tax deductions that has to do with cryptocurrency. So what the IRS really wants to do is they really want to test the validity of cryptocurrency in the next 2 to 3 years. And I imagine there's gonna be a lot of new changes, even with cryptocurrency tax laws in the next 2 to 3 years. So if you do any kind of crypto trading or investing, buckle up because chance of auditing has gone up.
You boys like Mexico? Yeah!
All right, number 2 are small business owners, especially with massive losses being reported every single year for more than 3.5 years. Now, guys, I get it. I mean, I'm here trying to save money on taxes as well, but to report loss year after year, especially 5 years into your business, yeah, the IRS is gonna get fishy and they're gonna be skeptical with the fact that you're losing money every year on your small business. So they may audit you if you continue to lose money on your small business or do some crazy wild deductions on your small business for more than 5 years.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
You may want to, obviously talk to your accountant about that. All right, number 3, whether you're working for a business or you are a business owner, if you have done any kind of real estate transaction or investment, or you sold a large chunk of investment and you have capital gains, then the chance of the IRS auditing you has just gone up. A lot of times it has to do with misreporting capital gains and proper valuation. So normally the IRS wants to see if you've done a good job with your books and record keeping when it comes to the sale of an asset, especially now that capital gains taxes are expected to go up with the BBBA proposal. So if you sold any large amount of investments, real estate that involves in capital gains this year, then chances are being audited could be definitely in your realm of possibilities. Bye-bye. All right, last but not least, number 4 is that not having a preparer, meaning you don't have a tax professional, a CPA, an earned agent doing your taxes for you, especially if you do any kind of investment, you have small businesses, you do crypto, which we already talked about. So if you touch an investment, small business, 401k, IRA, if you do anything related to making more money, then yes, you could be audited and the chance of being audited has gone up. If you do your own taxes, because the IRS knows that doing your own taxes could definitely have a lot of potential for error, misreporting data, or not having the right record. So not having a tax preparer, especially if you're involved in a lot of those activities, could definitely leave you with a potential audit. Now guys, speaking of not having a preparer, and also just as I promised earlier in the video, I have my own accountant, Stephen Hamilton, joining us to answer some questions that could come up as far as what we've talked about in the wave of audits coming soon in 2022. But before we do, I want to bring a special attention to you guys to a special cause that we're involved in, which many of the YouTubers you may have seen, your favorite creators, might be involved in right now, and that is our ocean. We're dedicating this video you're watching right now to help the effort of cleaning up our ocean. Unfortunately, many of these developing countries don't have an infrastructure to process their garbage and waste, and a lot of the garbage and waste ends up being in the river, which ultimately goes out to the ocean. That affects our economy, our food supply, as well as our resources that we get from the ocean. So therefore, here in the team of the Kwak Brothers channel, we're donating all of our YouTube revenue from this specific video to help contribute the effort of cleaning up our ocean. We're joining hashtag TeamSeas. So every $1 that we donate from this video is going to help clean 1 pound of garbage from the ocean. And of course, if you guys would like to contribute, the link is down below in the video description if you guys want to go and donate as well. And now the moment you've been waiting for, here is my accountant, Stephen Hamilton. Steve, good to have you here. And I know you've been on our channel a couple of times in the past. So the question is, and I think a lot of people are looking for this answer, is are we actually going to see audits go up with this new $45 billion new funding for the IRS?
Well, the answer shortly is yes. Yes, I think audits are going to substantially increase. I have a mixed emotion on this because we do see quite a few issues when we're representing taxpayers that we did not prepare returns for. Statistically, the average rate of being audited is less than 1%. It's roughly about 0.65% of being audited across the entire US. Once you take out the people who just have a W-2 or just have a W-2, some interest or some dividends, that starts to kind of drop that percentage into those categories of individuals who are between, let's say, 1 in 10 million. Statistically, they're looking at about a 2.53% chance of being audited. On the other side, if their income's $10 million or more, that's 8.16%. So for all those who say that the 1% don't pay their fair share, well, almost 1 in 10 is being audited. So they have a pretty high likelihood of that happening.
Who do you think the IRS is going to be targeting? And I shared mine in the last segment, but who do you think, in your opinion, will be like the prime target? Like, what's some of the red flags they'll look for?
Honestly, I think income is between about 100,000 and 250.
Okay.
They're really targeting the middle class. Every which way, they're going after the middle class over and over and over again. Middle class is excited about crypto, and they have a little bit of cash to spend. Middle class has a little bit of flexibility in where they're living, what they're going to do. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive with their 401k and aim to build up more to try and break over that hump. So, I mean, I could go through the statistics of who's most likely to lie on their tax return. I could go over the statistics of who's most likely to owe a tax debt. The reality is there's a lot of people claiming credits that they're not entitled for.
Oh, so you mentioned crypto, right? So do you think they have a special place in the IRS target? Because I do a little bit of crypto. I know you do.
Hands down, absolutely yes. They actually have teams that are being trained entirely on cryptocurrency.
So obviously right now the administration, Biden administration, is at least they're looking for $400 billion, they say, right? Obviously they're trying to get more to fund a lot of what's on the BBA. Do you think this like the wave of audits will help them accomplish that goal, if not like exceedingly more revenue for the government?
Well, I can tell you right now, the average audit that I see has a balance due of at least $10,000.
Wow. Sheesh.
The IRS agent's goal is to collect about $750 an hour. It's their goal. They don't get paid for that. They're a government employee. They clock in, they clock out.
Right.
They want to go home, not deal with anything else. Okay. And some of them really don't like the IRS either. Okay. That's a fact. I have stories. If you are self-employed and claiming a loss, you're more likely to be audited.
Yeah.
If you're self-employed and your numbers are outside IRS or national statistics for certain business types, guess what? You have a higher chance of being audited. If you're in a very high profit margin business where the average business is running, let's say, a 50% margin, so for every $100,000 earned, they have $50,000 in expenses, and you're averaging $80,000 in expenses. Well, do you think that's something to look at?
Yeah,
that would be something to look at. You know, and at the end of the day, I do not believe in paying more taxes than your absolute fair share. Yeah. We help with our clients plan to pay as little as physically possible. But the problem is the individuals who are not following the rules. That hurts all of us.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Our tax rates are higher to accomplish the offset of what they're not reporting.
Yeah.
So when people want to be paid cash, when people are planning, you know, those types of things, guess what?
Yeah.
That all contributes to that gap, which hurts everybody else.
100%.
Now, that said, if you want my honest opinion, we could do a lot more government planning for efficiency. And the IRS is probably the only efficient branch, and they're very inefficient. They collect on average about $6 for every dollar that they actually spend. That's on enforcement and collections.
Yeah. That being said, guys, if you guys are interested in working with Steve, and this is not necessarily a plug, but it just came to mind. It came to mind. If you guys want to have a chat with Steve more about some of the insights, maybe you're in cryptocurrency trading right now. Steve also does crypto, so he has some understanding and insight to it. So for those that are watching Kwak channel, if you guys are here, we actually have a special coupon code for you guys. If you guys are ever interested in working with Steve in his office, the link's down below in the video description. Be sure to use the coupon code KWAK, K-W-A-K, to get $25 off in your initial consultation with Steve. So definitely go check that out if you're interested. Okay, not just saying, you know, right? So that being said, Steve, appreciate your insight, man. I think that is going to help a lot of people kind of understand what next year is going to look like, and of course, how to potentially prepare for an audit. So appreciate your time, man. I know you're always busy.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah. I'm always happy to chat with you. The important thing to remember is record keeping is key. If you want us to help plan, you have to record keep. You have to know what you have in order to plan for it.
So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video and content. If you guys did, go and definitely smash the like button, as well as subscribe to our channel. We're all about finance, real estate, through the perspective of freedom, and also giving you guys as much power to grow your own finance, your investments, and your wealth. So with that being said, guys, go and check out some of the other videos about how to make more money, how to protect yourself, and go and create more freedom for you. So I'll see you guys in the next video.